Max Kellerman Show. Max Kellerman Show on ESPN Radio.
Welcome into the Max Kellerman Show on ESPN Radio, ESPN News, the ESPN app, and Sirius XM Channel 80, and on your smart speaker. I am clearly not Max Kellerman. My name is Shay Cornett, Jordan Cornett. My husband's here with me. You can catch us on Sundays on Game Day on ESPN Radio. If you can't tell by our last names, we are married.
It's true. Happily.
We live happily.
And together forever.
Happily. We'll see how the
Despite
next 2 hours go.
together.
Yeah, right. We'll talk again after the next 2 hours. You can reach us at 1-888-SAY-ESPN. That's 1-888-729-3776. And before we get into what's going on in the sports world, we realize there's a lot going on in the actual world.
Yeah.
And I know we were up really late last night, didn't get a lot of sleep. I think I turned the television off at 3:30 in the morning.
You said we could keep it on all night to follow.
I did. That's usually
that was not true. Look, it's going to take a while. Patience is the key here with this. And as everybody navigates through this whole thing, we appreciate you coming over and listening to us right now. And we're going to dive into sports, a little bit of an escape here, understanding what's going on in the world, but also understanding we might not have solutions for that. I know I don't, but the country won't for a little while here. So we're going to dive into a whole lot of sports news going on, Shay.
Yep.
I'm going to do what I do every day, ride your coattails here, and let's get going.
I like that. That's a good way to start.
But promise me this. You're not going to act brand new on the show here. On Sundays, we keep it real. I know it's a different platform here. It's the great Max Kellerman Show. We're still going to be who we are, all right? Don't get your reporter voice going and doing all that stuff.
Don't start bossing me around.
Just saying, don't act brand new for the crew
Okay,
here.
I won't.
It's a new audience.
But we do appreciate you being with us. I know this is probably a little bit of an escape for everyone, and we're happy you chose to spend the time with us. So the Max Kellerman Show is presented by Progressive Insurance. All guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance line. We're going to talk about what's going on with the Packers. Did Aaron Rodgers get failed again? We'll discuss that in a little bit. And also, how will Antonio Brown now fit in with the Bucs as he is now at practice for the first time today? Be a part of the Max Kellerman Nation on the Dr. Pepper call-in line 1-888-SAY-ESPN. ESPN Nation is presented by Dr. Pepper. It's official. College football is back, and so is your favorite Dr. Pepper-loving college football town, Fansville. Head to a store near you to treat your inner college football fan to an ice-cold 20-ounce Dr. Pepper today. A little bit of breaking news, Jordan, just a couple hours ago. The 49ers have shut down their facility according to a COVID-19 positive test. That's according to Adam Schefter. Wide receiver Kendrick Bourne tested positive for COVID-19. They had to close their facility today, which is not great timing considering the Green Bay Packers are supposed to come to town tonight and they're supposed to play tomorrow, a little Thursday night football action. As of now, we are proceeding with as if the game is going to be played as it's supposed to be played. But of course, when these things happen and you do have a positive test, there's contract tracing that I know is going on now, and we'll see where it goes from here. But I saw this news, and of course, it's very unfortunate for Kendrick Bourne, but I thought to myself, man, the 49ers can't catch a break.
Has there been they've caught something. Has there been a situation where a team with that kind of talent, that kind of expectation, decimated like this? I mean, look, they're 4-4 in what's arguably the toughest division, no question out there in the NFC West. They're still competitive, but I can't think of a team that comes to mind that's been in this position where again, and we'll talk to Damien Woody later on in the show, actually just in a couple minutes here, about 7 minutes away. I don't know a team that's ever been decimated by injury, illness, all this attrition off the field, and yet still going out there and being competitive. They don't even know who their quarterback is going to be for the future. And Jimmy G, we don't know how long he's going to be out, but he may not be a 49er
going forward. I know there's a lot to make of what is going on with the 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks, as Jordan just alluded to. Then you have George Kittle, who is out for the next several weeks. It has just been one injury after the other with the 49ers, and it's just a mess. And I feel for Kyle Shanahan. I mean, this is a team that appeared in the Super Bowl last year, and here we are saying they don't even know who their quarterback's going to be next year. Maybe they do. We don't. But unfortunate for them that they will definitely be without if the Packers and the 49ers do play on Thursday night.
Be curious to see how they handle that one. If the game moves forward, I mean, now that the Niners are out with essentially no wideouts, with Kittle out in that one, Samuel out in that one, and now Bourne out in that one, and then the Green Bay Packers come into that game with a decimated running game, with them ravaged with injury on that front. So It's going to be another wacky Thursday night football game. It's to be expected. But I think also now the conversation shifting past that, Shay, goes to the trade deadline, what came and went, and what the Packers did not do in that time, and how that fared for a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who is really surprised by that.
Yeah, it's funny we're talking about the 49ers. That was the breaking news, and the team they're going to play is the Green Bay Packers. And the trade deadline came and went yesterday. I know we all were probably focused on a lot of other things. So if you weren't focused on the NFL, yeah, the Green Bay Packers made no moves. There were rumors of them possibly going out and getting Will Fuller from the Houston Texans. Obviously, that never happened. And honestly, the more I read about that, as being someone from Chicago, I've grown up watching the NFC North. I didn't think that was going to happen. It's not the Green Bay way. But it just seems like during the same kind of conversation with the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers needs help. Aaron Rodgers needs help in order to get over the next.
Well, this is the Green Bay philosophy, draft, develop guys, not go out and get the quick fix to win now. And I get it. That has allowed your franchise there in Green Bay and your fan base to consistently be intrigued year in and year out because you're competitive, because you're right there in the spot. And that is the role of front offices to ensure that we're not going to be good right now. We're going to continue to be good throughout. We're always looking ahead. And that's great. But Matt LaFleur is in a position with arguably the most talented quarterback of this generation, and you're in a position to win right now. And to me, if you're Aaron Rodgers, you say, hey, look, you went and got Jordan Love in this draft when you knew the clock was ticking on me and what we could do here when we were on the doorstep of the Super Bowl last season. That's fine. I've gone out here, and I've still engineered one of the best offenses in the NFL. And now you're at the crossroads again to get better, and you balk at going to get a guy like Will Fuller. I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking, what else can I do? And bigger than that, Shay, I look at this Green Bay team and say, Aaron Rodgers, you got to go out there and be great with the receivers that you have, leading with Adams and hoping the other guys can step up. And Allen Lazard coming back is big. But this is a Green Bay team that is vulnerable defensively. Defense can't stop a nosebleed, especially in the run game.
Say it how you normally say
it. Bart Scott, defense can't stop a nosebleed.
That's the way you know.
Tom Jackson, Keyshawn. I'll never stop loving that. Bart Scott, that was great.
That's the way you're supposed to say it.
But to me, you look at this and say, Green Bay didn't want to do the necessary things to ride this thing out because they wanted to stick to their philosophy. And for Aaron Rodgers is always compared to whom? Tom Brady. Tom Brady's even said Aaron Rodgers is more talented than he himself, Tom Brady. Look at the situation that Tom Brady's in there in Tampa Bay. In that same NFC, a team that Aaron Rodgers may have to go through to get to the Super Bowl. Look what Aaron Rodgers has. Look what Tom Brady has. That is probably the biggest issue with Aaron Rodgers sitting there saying, look what I'm doing here. We could have got better on the offensive side. Give me another target. Heck, we could have gotten Geno Atkins maybe out of my Cincinnati Bengals and brought him in here. Didn't do that either. But there's got to be some envy for a guy like Aaron Rodgers that looks at Tom Brady and says, he just always gets propped up. He's the best coach in the league. Look, it's not taking away from Tom's greatness, Shay. My point is this, it feels to me like he got done wrong here, and now he has to be great to mask the lack of targets and the issues on that defense.
Okay, so first of all, it's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. I'm going to agree with you and disagree with you. In terms of what the Packers did at the trade deadline, not surprising. Matt LaFleur, the head coach for the Packers, said he didn't even know if anything ever got that serious when it came to trading for Will Fuller.
But it should have.
I'll also say I'm kind of sick of having the conversation about offensive skill players that Aaron Rodgers needed because this goes all the way back to the draft, as you mentioned. I will also say this about skill players in the NFL. It's kind of like money. You can never have enough of it.
Oh, gosh. This is who I'm married to, Raj. Raj, you hear that? This is who I'm married to here. You can't have enough money. It's an uphill battle for me from Joe.
No one's going to turn it down.
Well, honey, we don't have enough. I'm sorry. I'm not quite there yet.
I'm just pointing it out. You can never have enough. So would Aaron Rodgers scoff at the fact if they wouldn't got a Will Fuller? No. Would he be happy with help around him? I'm sure. The bigger issue, as you touched on, is the defense. If you watched any of the game against the Vikings for the Packers,
Dalvin Cook still scoring touchdowns.
Okay, ran all over him. Not even worse than that. This team desperately needs a linebacker, a very good one. They were missing tackles left and right. I mean, it was like whiffs. Awful. They need to learn how to tackle, and they need help with a linebacker. And speaking of that, when you think about what happened with the trade deadline, the Steelers picked up Avery Williamson, okay, a linebacker, from the Jets, for a 2022 fifth-round pick. Yeah. Not even next year. Yeah. 2022. You You don't think he could have helped out the Packers maybe?
I mean, Desmond King, and that's not what's needed there, but you go out in the Titans and that secondary and get him for a 6th-rounder. This guy was an all-pro in 2018. So there's ways to get creative. There's ways to make moves. I ultimately go back and I wonder what the holdup potentially with the Packers and Texans may have been. And now you're hearing that it was a 2nd-rounder for Will Fuller. I would have done that for the opportunity to win now. Make your strength stronger. But it also goes to the Texans. If it was more than that, that is a high price. And say the Texans are in a position where they're trying to move Will Fuller, but they're asking for maybe too high of a price because Bill O'Brien, who you gave all that power to, undervalued DeAndre Hopkins, let him walk away, which was costly when you have a franchise quarterback in Deshaun Watson. And now you're in the position of maybe overpricing a guy, overvaluing a guy in Will Fuller that quite simply nobody was going to take on. So I'm happy for Deshaun Watson that he at least has one guy to throw the football to. But I look at the Texans and say, where are you going? You found what is the most important critical piece in the NFL. You found your quarterback. You've got Deshaun Watson. What are you doing to make this guy a guy who can evolve and be successful in this league? And wow, the Texans just, you're scratching your head time and time again. And it all starts with the decision they made with Bill O'Brien, which I think goes to that bigger conversation. Do you give a coach the ability to also be the front office guy that makes the decisions? Sure, if it's the right one. Bill O'Brien was not.
No, he was not. And we went all over the place there, but maybe Damien Woody can help us break us down. That was Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise.
The Cowboys will be without quarterback Andy Dalton for another week, but it's not because of the concussion he sustained 2 weeks ago. Rather, Dalton's been placed on the reserve COVID list.
This is really an Andy Dalton health story, not, oh my God, what are the Cowboys going to do?
All right, Damien Woody joins us now on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. D-Wood, thanks so much for being with us this morning. I'm sure you just heard us going back and forth on the Packers. That also led into the Texans, obviously, because of the Will Fuller talk. And I know you have been on every airway today talking about how the Packers missed out during this trade deadline. What do you make of the Packers and where they stand? To me, it's not a Will Fuller and a receivers issue. It's a defensive problem for the Packers. Do you think they missed a big opportunity here over the last couple of days?
No, I would agree with your assessment. I mean, anyone that watched the Packers-Viking game, they're still having nightmares about Dalvin Cook just thrashing the Green Bay Packers defense. So, yes, it's bigger than wide receiver. I think my overall point was just feeling like the Green Bay Packers as an organization haven't maximized the career that Aaron Rodgers has put together, considering the fact that, he only has one Super Bowl. I mean, we're talking about a guy in Aaron Rodgers who – is arguably, the greatest, as far as talent, the most talented quarterback of this generation. So you just want to see him get as many weapons as possible on the back nine of his career. Now we know that, with the Houston Texans, they should be sellers because they don't have many assets moving forward. And Will Fuller seemed like a pretty good fit, beside Devontae Adams. But again, Green Bay is the type of team that they want to draft and develop. They've always had that MO. They want to just draft young guys and develop them. And who can argue with their history? They've done a tremendous job with that. I just want to see Aaron Rodgers get as many pieces as possible to maximize to try to win a Super Bowl.
Damien, I couldn't agree with you more, and that probably hurts my wife here, who's a big Chicago Bears fan.
It's all right. I've already come to accept it. It is what it is.
And I'm a Bengals guy, so I'm just happy to have Joe Burrow and see what he's doing. But stay in there in that NFC North. Stay in there with those Packers. And the fact that they are 5-2, maybe they missed at this deadline. Maybe they didn't do enough to prop up further in Aaron Rodgers to propel them on a Super Bowl run here to get where they couldn't a year ago. But how real of a threat are they still as a contender? Because, again, they're 5-2 in a very tough division.
Well, yeah, listen, I think they're a class of the NFC North. I think everyone would probably agree that they'll win that division. And when you take a macro look at the NFC as a whole, there's not one team that's running away with the conference. I mean, you have some people who, like myself, I like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think they're the most well-rounded team in the division. There are some people who like the Seattle Seahawks with Russell Wilson, let Russ cook, and his MVP journey so far this year. Some people are going to like New Orleans down the stretch. So, listen, if you're Green Bay, you're sitting at 5-2. The world is not caving in. Yes, there was a bad loss to the Minnesota Vikings, but There's not one team in that conference that would scare Green Bay at all.
That hurts.
That's just another dagger. And the thing is, Damien knew you're the Bears fan and still went there.
He still did it. I know. I was like not sure how to react to that. Just a little dagger.
Listen. When it comes to your Bears, I don't have any faith in either quarterback, whether it's Nick Foles or Mitchell Trubisky.
No, I feel you. I can't even argue.
That would be the biggest impediment to them advancing forward.
Damien, take up residence in Chicago, man. You sound like a Chicagoan. I mean, that fits.
Thank you for that, Damien. Okay, we will move on. By the way, Damien Woody is joining us right now on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Okay, so Damien, let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys. And trust me, I am sick of talking about the Dallas Cowboys, but Jerry Jones is at a point where he doesn't want to tank, and I understand that, and I don't know many head coaches or owners that would come out and say, yeah, let's tank. That sounds like a fun idea.
I'll have to try.
However, where are the Cowboys at? Because realistically, they're kind of still in the hunt, being in the bad division that they're in, but yet again, you have quarterbacks that are starting this weekend that a lot of people have never heard of. I mean, I don't even know what to make of the Cowboys anymore.
Well, listen, the Cowboys don't have to try to tank. They are tanking just by going out there and suiting up and playing. The Cowboys have a litany of issues going on. Number one, first of all, I think we see the value that Dak Prescott brought to the Dallas Cowboys. Without Dak Prescott, their offense has just been atrocious. When Dak Prescott was playing, they were in shootouts every week. So that just shows you the value that he brought not only on the field but off the field to that organization. We know the struggles that the Cowboys have had defensively. And then, even to the coaching staff, there's a lot of questions about whether Mike McCarthy is the guy that can lead the Cowboys to places that Jason Garrett couldn't. But I think when you look at the Cowboys overall, their identity has always been, at least in the past few years, their offensive line. Their offensive line was a staple. It helped their defense as far as controlling the ball, the time of possession. And when you look at the Dallas Cowboys offensive line now, Tyron Smith out for the year. Travis Frederick, their all-pro center, he retired in the offseason. Leo Collins, he's out for the year with the injury. Those are critical injuries that are showing up right now for the Dallas Cowboys. So if you look at everything in this totality, you might have to start stripping this roster down because the identity of your team no longer exists.
Damien, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I mean, the rich just keep getting richer. It's funny we're talking about Aaron Rodgers out there in Green Bay and what they failed to do for him at the trade deadline. And now you take, in your words, I heard driving in today, couldn't agree more. People forget, in 2018, Antonio Brown was the best wide receiver in the National Football League. I know my wife and I know a lot of people, including myself, have feelings about him off the field, and that's fair. But on the field, when he's playing, there's no argument what he brings. What does that do to this Buccaneers team? Because right now my power rankings, I have them at the upper tier. Does this propel them, if he comes out there and shows out, does this propel them to the top of the power rankings and arguably the best team in the NFL?
Oh, please, the best team in the NFL.
Oh, listen.
I
think with the addition, I'm not trying to get in the middle of husband and wife squabbles or anything.
No, please
like that.
Get in the middle. This is what people do all the time. We love it.
I know. I understand. I get it. But I will say, I think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the most well-rounded team in the NFC. And now when you bring a guy like Antonio Brown, and listen, we can have discussions about all the off-field stuff, but just speaking purely on-field and what he brings to the table, I mean, listen, this guy was almost unguardable the last time we saw him play meaningful football. This is a guy that he can line up in the slot. He can line up outside the numbers. He was beating double teams. And we know his affinity for Tom Brady. The reason why he chose Tampa Bay. Remember that. A lot of people thought that Tampa Bay was his only option. It wasn't his only option. Russell Wilson wanted him in Seattle, but he chose to reunite with Tom Brady because he knew how special this Tampa Bay team could be. So when you add him to, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski, Leonard Fournette, as a defensive coordinator, who are you going to stop? Who are you going to double team? That's a lot of people that's coming at you.
I mean, Damien, AB living with Tom Brady, roommates right now. I'm thinking about back to your playing days, you as an offensive lineman. If you brought in another a tackle or guard on the team, somebody you needed to build some chemistry with, would you let them live in the crib with you and your family?
Man, the wife is shooting that down,
right?
Man. I'm telling you that right now. You're not going to invade my personal space. She's not having that. Plus, who wants to be hanging around with, 7 kids? My wife and I, we have 7 kids. Who wants to be around all that noise?
We've seen the crib, Damien.
I just don't see that.
We've seen your crib on TV. I think a lot of people would say, 7 kids? I'm still cool. I want to be in this castle. I think they'd still be okay with that.
He makes a good point. All right, Damien Woody, thanks so much for the time. We really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
We'll catch you soon. The Max Kellerman Show is presented by Progressive Insurance. Drivers who save with Progressive save over $750 on average.
No way you're having it. You don't let half of my friends in the house.
Now, see, why would you do that?
To stay for multiple days? Yeah, now let's be honest. Just because they're watching doesn't mean they're listening that you can't be honest. No way. And an AB type? Ooh, no shot.
See, you have started out hot today, and that's not true. You know how many of your degenerate friends I have let stay in our crib?
Degenerate?
To chill with us.
An escape of sorts.
Yeah.
A little sports escape.
Yeah, we like that.
Yeah.
Are the Jets thinking about giving up on Sam Darnold? We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but we would be remiss if we didn't get into Clemson and Notre Dame.
I think it's just remiss.
Really?
Right? It's not past tense. I think it's just remiss.
Yeah. I'd be remiss.
You'd be remiss.
Yeah, I don't know. Starting next Monday, you can stream the Max Kellerman Show daily on ESPN Plus. With ESPN Plus, you can stream the Dan Le Batard Show with Stu Gatz, #Greeny, and Damien Golic Jr. And you can get live sports, exclusive originals, and more. Sign up now at ESPNPlus.com. As always, you can hear us on ESPN radio stations all across the country, SiriusXM, and the ESPN app. The Max Kellerman Show is presented by Progressive Insurance. You can reach us at 1-888-SAY-ESPN. 1-888-729-3776. Again, Shay Cornett, Jordan Cornett. We can't tell by our last name. We are married.
We are married.
And I know.
I guess we could be siblings. That'd be really weird and hard to explain.
That would. We don't quite look like siblings either. I like that. So, do you want to sing the song? You do it every time I mention Notre Dame. This isn't annoying at all in my house.
It's all week long, and I'm shocked that we've gotten this long into the show, having not mentioned any Notre Dame alum that are in the NFL, which are clearly making an impact across the league.
Why would we do that?
I don't know. Usually like a Chase Claypool pops up
Why would
somewhere.
we bring up Chase Claypool randomly?
Ronnie Stanley made news with the big contract, then getting hurt. I haven't had a chance to get off the fight song in the show. I appreciate that. And for those wondering why are they talking college football in the Max Kellerman Show, something they don't usually do, it's because I serve as a host at The Huddle for the ACC Network on Saturdays. Check out our pregame show, 10 a.m. to noon. Ooh. We're also covering the games throughout the day. And the biggest game of the college football season to this point is upon us.
It is. So-
number 1 Clemson in God's country against number 4 Notre Dame. I know Mike Golic Jr. is roaming around here somewhere.
Okay, and in case
I don't know why we don't just get my boy in here to jump in on the segment, but go ahead.
Will you settle down?
I'm excited.
In case you don't know, Jordan is a Notre Dame alum. In case you can't tell.
They tell you 2 or 3 times in the first couple sentences.
And yes. He's also currently still Notre Dame's all-time leading shot blocker. Look what I'm doing for you.
Talk to him.
Give me a pound up top.
If you want to win a contest and random information, that one will get you every time.
Okay, but the big news this week, as Clemson travels to South Bend to take on Notre Dame, is the fact that Trevor Lawrence will not be playing quarterback.
Who's the backup for Clemson, Shay?
DJ Uiagalelei.
Close. You said it before the lights came on, and you got it wrong. You got it right before. DJ Uiagalelei.
DJ Uiagalelei.
6'4", 250 pounds, 5-star, number 1 pocket passer in his class. Stepped up in there, and that offense didn't skip a beat versus Boston College last week, getting the home win.
They started out a little slow against Boston College.
Then they turned it up. He had a great game.
But Trevor Lawrence will be on the sideline with his teammates because he did clear COVID-19 protocols. In case you don't know, he tested positive prior to the Boston College game last week. Because of the regulations that are in college football, he has to go through some cardiovascular testing. So he will travel with the team and be on the sideline. Here's Clemson head coach Dabo Swinney on what it means to have him on the sideline.
Well, he's an incredibly knowledgeable guy, and he's been there. So I just think he'll be able to bring a good presence to DJ, and he's got a great mind. He's got great eyes. So he's going to be Coach Lawrence. And Skalski's going to be with us as well. So we'll have Coach Lawrence and Coach Skalski this week. So I told him wasn't going to take them unless they were going to be productive coaches for us. So that'll be their roles this week, and they'll both take a lot of pride in that.
Let's add something else to Trevor Lawrence's resume. Now he's also going to play coach this weekend.
Here's the thing. In quarterbacks, Shay, they always get the headlines. Just like with us, when we walk into a room, everybody gravitates towards you.
Oh,
you're way more charismatic. You're smarter.
Oh, keep going.
Infinitely better looking. I could go down the list. I've definitely outkicked my coverage. Anybody listening or watching knows that. Anybody from Chicago, where we got our start, knows that as well. Quarterbacks get all the headlines, but they shouldn't in this one.
Okay.
You heard the name James Skalski mentioned by Dabo, and a lot of casual football fans are probably saying, who's James Skalski? He's the quarterback of the Clemson defense. He's their starting linebacker, and his absence in the last few games has been the telltale sign towards why I believe Notre Dame will win this football game. I'm not homering this.
Are you?
Go back a couple weeks, Shay, to Clemson hosting Syracuse, a one-win Syracuse team. One of the worst Power 5 teams going right now. It's just where they are at. That game got towards the end of the third quarter. It was a one-possession game. Syracuse on the road at Clemson was playing that one close. It had nothing to do with the backup quarterback, DJ Uiagalelei, playing because he played beautifully. That offense didn't skip a beat. It was the defense and the mistakes that started to pile up that allowed an inept Syracuse offense to stay within that one. Clemson ultimately blew them out, but it took a fourth quarter. Fast forward to the next week. Now a week prior to where we are today. Hosting Boston College. Similar issues as Boston College got out early in that one because James Skalski, quarterback of the defense, was not there. That one got figured out late fourth quarter. Notre Dame, infinitely better than Syracuse, who took them to a third quarter. Notre Dame, in my opinion, a lot better than Boston College, who took them down the stretch. Notre Dame is hosting in this one. Notre Dame has a championship defense. Ian Book is starting to figure it out. Notre Dame has one of the best offensive lines in college football. Hold on. Run game that can get it going. I think time's going to run out with Clemson needing a comeback. And even if Trevor Lawrence was the starting quarterback for Clemson, Notre Dame wins this one 28-24. Let's go!
Oh, what's happening here? If Max is watching, he's like, my show's gone off the rails. My show is gone off the rails.
I think Mike Golic Jr. just ripped his shirt off across the hall.
This is too much.
And he's going streaking through the quad.
Kill the horns.
I just want to let you guys know you guys have set a Max Kellerman record for the longest time spent talking about college football.
Yes.
I'm just saying it is a record, so congratulations. You have set
Do you
a record.
normally play these kind of pageantry?
I
don't know what this is. What is this?
Raj, how's it feel?
Oh, please.
Never again? Is this a never again?
Never again.
No. Hey, you guys got me into it. I'm listening. Now you got me wanting to see the game. You guys talking me into it. So
look, it's going to be a game. I promise I'm not homering this one. It's been of intrigue to watch Brian Kelly and all his post games talk about Clemson. It's on his mind. They understand what the Notre Dame brand has failed to do since 1993, beat a top 5 team, win that premier game. This is a huge one for Brian Kelly. It's a huge one for Notre Dame, and it's gettable.
I'm so sick of saying this, Jordan. And while I hear you, and you make a very good argument,
Why don't
and
you
those
just
of
ride
you,
with me?
I'm going to, but I have to play devil's advocate. And before you say it, I'm a very little
Devil
person,
doesn't need an advocate,
and I always
you love
say
to
the
say.
devil doesn't need an advocate. But I'm going to say it anyway.
Indiana football won last week, and I was right there rooting for you. Although you've never talked about Indiana football as an alum. You love the basketball, but then you love the football when they beat Penn State. I rode with you. Ride with me.
First of all, you didn't just ride with me. You just completely threw me off the bus, under the bus, to the side of the bus, all over the bus.
That's a crime.
I mean, what are you talking about?
Hey, Raj, I know this is your guys' show. I know we're filling in for Max Kellerman, but sometimes a guy, when he's overmatched, needs to call in some reinforcements. Can I bring Gojo in? Mike Golic Jr.,
No.
ladies and gentlemen.
Guys, listen, I'm happy to help out in this situation right here. And Shay, I'm a little disappointed right now. I'm not going to lie. You've been nothing but fantastic ever since I've known you. And now all of a sudden we're in this situation where Jordan and I are just asking for a little bit of help. We're nervous. This is a tough week for us. We're a little bit ahead of ourselves. I keep talking myself into this upset now, and your husband's helped me out with that. So, Shay, we need you to come in here and just have our backs right now. We care about you. We need you to care about us.
Okay.
Not nervous about the election, just about Clemson, Notre Dame.
Yeah, strictly about football this week. I don't even know what's going on everywhere else. John King and that touchscreen, though. My God.
Who let you in here?
Goat work.
Goat stuff right there. That guy's putting on a master's class in that touchscreen right now. It's amazing.
The envy of every analyst across the country to watch John King on a touchscreen.
It's true. Okay, can I ask a question while you're both here and you're both homering away at your Notre Dame Fighting Irish? Really quick, please. I understand that you believe in your team and you think this is the year.
You're
and
married to me. We're in this together.
Okay.
Our team, Shay. You're in this.
Yes. Okay. Fine. I'm invested. I feel it. However, I don't care who plays quarterback, and I understand your argument about making comparisons to the teams Clemson have played versus the teams Notre Dame have played, and how close these teams have been. However, haven't you seen this? Forget Notre Dame with Clemson a million times. They've played in the ACC much longer than Notre Dame has. And yet still, the level of competition, we argue every year, is not the same till they get to the college football playoff. And they go out and they blow out teams and they beat teams like Alabama that seem to be unstoppable, that many think sometimes could compete with the Jets. So why do you think this year is going to be any different, where they're not going to show up and play to the level of competition of Notre Dame Fighting Irish?
This is my life, Gojo. This is when I say, hey, honey, can I go on this golf trip with the guys, pre-COVID, of course? Can I do this? And she just shoots it down. I get up here and I talk about Notre Dame, and I get all hyped up.
I've never done
and
that.
She shoots it down.
I've never done that.
She shoots it down.
It is amazing. You just got dunked on like chest to chest. Like it was straight up
Bodied.
there. Just looked you in the eye.
Bodied.
And snatched your soul on that one here. Shay, I mean, there's plenty of reasons to believe why we can make this happen and why we can make this work. Our team speed on defense has never been like where it's at now. So all of a sudden you're at a level where compete. Freshman quarterback comes in, and while he's super talented, still a freshman. So there's some things you can take advantage of in all of this that I feel like, again, you talk about Clemson walking through the ACC most every year. Exactly. They're not used to having to play a tough game like this in the middle of their conference season until we popped up in this one all of a sudden. So all I'm saying is we're a little ahead of schedule. We might be a little ahead of schedule for Clemson. This is right on time for Notre Dame. Let's go.
Okay.
Walk off.
If that doesn't fire you up for Saturday, I don't know what will. Mike Golic Jr., thank you.
It will never be the same again.
Never be the same.
He's pissed somewhere listening to all this college football talk.
Definitely pissed off. Mike Golic Jr., thank you. Shay Cornett, Jordan Cornett here with you. Jordan, I have never once told you couldn't go on a golf trip. You take that back right now or else.
Cool. So Scottsdale's on in a couple months?
If you want to go and you want to fly in COVID. COVID?
No, see, I said post-COVID. So, yeah, you're probably safe for the next few months, unfortunately.
Probably safe? Take it back. Hurry up.
I take it back. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Was Golden Tate's wife right about calling out the Giants?
Segue.
Perfect.
Matthew McConaughey, would you rather have his career
or P. Diddy?
Both
have birthdays today.
My guy Paul Irvin sends this text, and he knows us both very well, and he's a voice of reason in a lot of our arguments. He said, Puffy is a billionaire, and you just reduced that man to finding Danity Kane on a reality show. I mean, the disrespect of Diddy, of Puff here. This man was Biggie's right-hand guy. It's a legend in the game, and you take it, a billionaire, to Danity Kane, to Aubrey O'Day. Do you have anything to say for yourself?
I didn't take it to Aubrey O'Day. I took it to Danity Kane and Making the Band as a Whole. It was one of my favorite shows.
That separates two titans in industry, Matthew McConaughey and Puff Daddy. The discovery of Danity Kane. Matthew McConaughey, you could have been that dude had you discovered Danity Kane. That would have pushed you into legendary status. For my wife,
let me be me. I'll let you be you. Shay Cornett, Jordan Cornett here.
That's what you'd say, let me. You let me do that?
Stop it.
That's you.
Filling in for Max Kellerman here on the Max Kellerman Show. News from the Max Kellerman Nation. Just hit us up on the Dr. Pepper Twitter feed, and we've had some people hitting us up on the Dr. Pepper Twitter feed, if I could speak. And it was a lot of stuff about what you brought up last hour about how you go on a golf trip with your buddies, and I'm really just...
A lot of people fired. I think a lot of guys feel seen in that statement from me. Hey, at least I struck a chord somewhere. If it wasn't my analysis... At least it's me being grounded at home by my wife.
Oh, please. Oh, please. The Max Kellerman Show is on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, ESPN News, and Sirius XM Channel 80. Just tell your smart speaker to play ESPN. You can reach us at 1-888-SAY-ESPN. That's 1-888-729-3776. Who is at the top of our NFL Power Rankings? You're going to find out here in just a few minutes. The Max Kellerman Show is presented by Progressive Insurance. The big news today, though, Jordan, is that Bucs have officially activated Antonio Brown. He was on the practice field today with Tom Brady and company. He has now officially moved into Tom Brady's house.
Now let me pivot right there.
Okay.
I'm really curious. And we talked to Damien Woody in the last hour about this. I asked him if he'd bring another offensive lineman into his home, if he was going to try and make sure that guy stayed on the straight and narrow. Like, can you imagine Giselle taking in, like, it's one thing for Tom Brady to be like, hey, we got this young and upcoming guy. I want him to get acclimated with Tampa. In this COVID era, like, he's down here by himself. Can he stay with us and the kids? Maybe. But for Giselle to say, yeah, bring in Antonio Brown, all that baggage, he could stay with us. You're doing God's work there.
I would assume Giselle, because if you remember, Antonio Brown roomed with them when he went to the Patriots.
True.
For a cup of coffee.
So they made this decision twice.
So they've made this decision twice. So he clearly was a nice house guest. Brown has had all kinds of off-the-field issues, which we can talk about at a later date. He's a 7-time Pro Bowler. He's over 1,000 yards receiving in his 10-year career and 75
you're not answering my question. Would you let my boys slide through and stay if they're out here wrecking the world prior to their arrival? You be cool with that?
I'd have to think about it. But if you were like, look, this is a big opportunity for me career-wise. He could come in. He can make our team better.
Huge opportunity.
This is an opportunity for him to kind of learn in our household, see how I speak to my wife, see how I communicate with my kids, see how I operate on a day-to-day basis, see how hard I work, see how things are run within the Buccaneers organization.
I love Shea Cornette on air. I mean, it's just an entirely different human.
You are painting me out to be like the world's worst wife.
You're the best wife.
I'm getting really upset over here.
I just talked in the other segment about charismatic.
Jordan, I got this on tape. Whenever you need to use it, I'm going to send it to you. You got receipts, bro.
Yeah, Raj, remember the compliments I gave her? Talking about how charismatic, better looking, smarter. How quickly they forget.
Okay. See, compliments don't fix insults. I'm just I'm
sorry, I would never insult you.
But I am being honest. If you gave me that list of reasons, which is what I would assume is the list of reasons for Antonio Brown moving in with Tom Brady now, that and of course he's trying to get acclimated in Florida too. He's moving all across the country. He's lived in LA, he's lived in Pittsburgh. I mean, we know how this goes.
Do you think it works out?
Oh, that's a loaded question.
I don't even mean the roommate thing. Moving it on to the field. Does Antonio Brown, with all that talent, not going to be a distinct number one there? There was some jealousy with Juju back in Pittsburgh a little bit there. You've got all the talent.
There were more issues than just jealousy.
100%. But I'm saying, do you think Tom Brady's enough for to say, let's get in line and let's go win a Super Bowl? You think it goes smoothly?
First of all, let's just be clear. Antonio Brown's not out of the clear yet. There are still a lot of things that have to go through the court system and through the NFL, and that could all come down in December. So I'm going to say for the time being, for the next couple of weeks, do I think it works out? Yes. I think Antonio Brown is a fantastic wide receiver if he can get out of his own way.
You just got to put this together for a couple months.
If he can get out of his own way and maybe living with Tom Brady, maybe forming a friendship with Tom Brady is what he needs. And maybe
all those receivers, all those targets.
Yeah, there's
defense
so much to unpack here with this.
I mean, it's incredible. You have to consider, and I know we're going to get to the power rankings a little bit, you have to consider putting the Bucs at the top if Antonio Brown comes out here and shows out in what's going to be a small sample size. I imagine he's going to be on somewhat of a snap count. I know Coach Arians had mentioned it could be 10, it could be 30. He doesn't envision 60. Mm-hmm. But if he comes out here and it's like, it looks like 2018 AB, I don't know how you don't stack them up there with the best teams in the NFL because of how balanced they are, how dangerous they are defensively on top of the greatest quarterback of our lifetime and all those. I mean, it's a Pro Bowl football team. It's like watching a Pro Bowl football team play week in and week out.
Shea Cornette, Jordan Cornette here filling in for Max Kellerman on the Max Kellerman Show. And, okay, I'm not going to say the Bucs are one of the best teams in the NFL. They haven't shown that to me yet. They've had some losses now. What they are is one of the best teams in the NFC. That I will give to them, and that is something Damien Woody agreed with me on earlier.
I think he said they were the best
in the NFC, which is fine, and that is fair because yes, they are a very balanced team on offense. They have running backs that can do it on the ground, and they have receivers. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. I don't know if Chris Godwin's going to be 100% healthy on Sunday because he had that procedure done on his finger. We will wait and see. However, it doesn't really matter.
Gronk, the run game.
Because you add in Antonio Brown. Tom Brady is in a position now in Tampa Bay he would have never been in New England. I mean, that's just obvious. Watching what's happening with Cam Newton, Bill Belichick has come out and say it, and I'm sure Brady saw the writing on the wall and thought, I can't do this again. Without any receivers, without any talent around me, I'm getting too old.
It showed last year, too.
I'm getting too old. I can't run for my life. I can't do these quarterback sneaks on 4th and 3 or whatever it is like I used to that can seal a game.
Insert Cam Newton for $1 million to go out there and try and fix it.
I need weapons around me. And so Tom Brady goes to Tampa Bay, and the rich just keep getting richer. There's no excuse in Tampa Bay. You have everything is working in your favor. Offense, defense, special teams is good. Like, there's no excuse for that not to be one of the best teams in the NFC or in the NFL as a whole.
And that's what kind of annoys me about this Belichick versus Brady conversation, where it inevitably goes to, and it was set up to be that coming into the season. Like, if you had any sense, you knew Tom Brady was going to get the better end of this bargain when you saw who he was being paired with. Tom Brady stepped into a ready-made situation where Tom Brady just had to be good, not great. Now, Tom hasn't been even great. He's been really, really good. And that has propped them up to the spot where they're at now. But Tom Brady really only had to be just above average for what's there. Bill Belichick had no shot. Like, that roster, to the point where Bill Belichick's being candid. We sold out.
But I think you assume with Bill Belichick, he solves problems. He figures it out.
That's what I mean. What problem can you really solve when you've got a roster that's depleted from opt-out, COVID, guys leaving, and injury? What can Bill Belichick
predict the injury and the COVID? I mean, the opt-outs, yes, but
you're not hearing me. I'm talking about that's the comparison between the two. They're now saying Brady has shown that he doesn't need Belichick, and Belichick has shown that he needs Brady. You can't say, Shay, that doesn't matter. That's where we are right now. That's why the Patriots are struggling, because of what's happening right now with their setup.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think if Tom Brady was in New England, he'd be struggling too, because he has no one to throw the ball to.
So I think we're saying the same thing.
No, you're saying Tom Brady is not struggling because he doesn't have Belichick and he has all these weapons, and Bill Belichick is struggling because he doesn't have Brady.
I'm saying that narrative that is out there is not a fair narrative to Bill Belichick.
Okay, fine.
Because Tom Brady, too, would be failing. You're saying the same thing.
Okay, fine. Then we agree. One more thing on Antonio Brown. The question is, how much is he going to be in the mix come Sunday? Of course, the Buccaneers play the Saints. It's a division matchup. One, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lost to the Saints week 1, if you remember. Here is Bruce Arians on how much Antonio Brown is going to be in the mix on Sunday.
Knock him down a few times, and that always helps. None of them, especially the older guys, they don't like getting knocked down. So we got to pressure him, get him off his spot, and have really good tight coverage.
Okay, that's, I think, realistic expectations maybe for AB. I don't know. That's not the exact sound I was thinking of. But what he did say earlier today, Bruce Arians, was the fact that once Antonio Brown gets out there, and if they have packages for him that run successfully, they'll use him more often. But it's kind of a trial and error situation, just seeing how comfortable he is out there, how comfortable he is with Tom, and how comfortable he is in the system, which I think is obvious. I don't know about a snap count, but I think it's one of those eye tests. Just wait and see how he looks.
The one game we saw last season when Antonio Brown was able to put on a Pats jersey? It was last year.
Yeah, it was last year.
He got a few targets. He made a few plays. You could tell immediately there was a chemistry between Brady and Brown.
Mm-hmm.
There was a desire, a large one, from Brady to get him there to New England. That showed the reach and the power that a Tom Brady had. Tom Brady exercised that same power to get him down to Tampa, where Bruce Arians said prior to that, no, this wouldn't be a fit in our locker room. It wouldn't be considered. Tom Brady showed his muscle there and his ability to make this happen. Tom Brady's going to look to Antonio Brown early and often. Tom Brady is going to establish Antonio Brown to be what he was in 2018. This thing's going to work, and it's going to work at a high clip. And I don't even know if you have to worry about necessarily the drama in the locker room, because I think the number one target for Tom Brady is going to become Antonio Brown because of the various ways you can use a guy like AB in your offense. Different formations, throw him in the slot, throw him on the outside, exotic plays. All these types of things will present Antonio Brown in a way where he can really take off.
Well, I'm going to hope you're right, because he's running out of chances. This is probably at the bottom. I thought the last one was the last one.
Can there be another after this?
I hope not, and that discussion is for another day. By the way, all guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line here on the Max Kellerman Show. I'm Shay Cornett. He's Jordan Cornett, and somehow you got to pick the NFL Power Rankings. Let's roll with it.
You get to do what you do best. Shoot it all down here. I mean, you get to tell me why I'm wrong. Raj, what do you say? We start at number 5, work our way up to number 1?
Always start at number 5. When they do Miss America, they don't announce who won. They start from the back.
Raj,
true.
You still watch Miss America. I do that with my mother. We text from where I am in Chicago, now Connecticut, to her in Cincinnati. We always pick the winner. I'm pretty good with that. So maybe this means my number 1 team will win the Super Bowl. Stand by it. I'm going at number 5, and I don't think a lot of people have them here on their power rankings. And I love listening to Keyshawn in the morning with Zubin and Jay. And I thought Keyshawn said something interesting, and he usually does, about power rankings. It doesn't have to be a round number. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to go that way. And so for me, it actually does happen to be a round number of 5. And at number 5, I'm going with the Arizona Cardinals. And Shay, I'm going to do it because I saw what they were able to do in a shootout versus the Seahawks. I was able to watch Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury's offense come to full fruition. They have stars on their defense as well, an offensive line that is doing a magnificent job, and the arrival of DeAndre Hopkins has shown that this team is one to consider in the NFC West. People ain't talking about them enough. I got the Cardinals at number 5.
Okay, I'll let you have that. I will point out 2 bad losses by the Cardinals to the Lions and the Panthers. And I think if you look down the list...
Oh, bad losses? Have they become bad losses?
Those are bad losses, the Lions and the Panthers for the Cardinals. The Lions, that's a bad loss. The Panthers, not a good loss. And if you look down the line at some teams you might be leaving out, which I'll get to later, they have much better losses. I just want to point that out. Go ahead.
I told you she'd be good at shooting down. Let me see my list. Pull it back up there, Raj. At number 4 on my list is the Seahawks. I got the Seattle Seahawks at number 4. Maybe you would want them higher. I don't know. The absence of a defense there, Russell Wilson is absolutely the lead, the front runner for MVP. Baby Braun, DK Metcalf. I mean, what a star he has become. I mean, he was growing and growing and growing. He's shown himself in a lot of ways to be arguably one of maybe the best. I'm not really comfortable to say it yet, the best wide receiver in the NFL. He's that kind of good. Although DeAndre Hopkins is even having a better year, which is why I have the Cardinals there. But the Seahawks at number 4, wish they did a little bit more at their defense. But
a little more.
I like them a lot. Russell Wilson can go out there and win games.
Russell Wilson can go out there and beat anybody, and he absolutely has to, because anyone with any kind of arm talent can throw for over 150 yards against this very bad Seahawks defense.
Nope.
Now, I think they'll get better. But I like the Seahawks there. You know I like Russell Wilson. I think this is a really good team in the NFC.
Oh, look at you smiling at me, getting me all kinds of excited over here. We are here to work. And at number 3, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I wanted to put them even higher on the list.
Oh, I thought you would, considering you think they're one of the best teams in the NFL. But please, leave them at 3.
I haven't seen Antonio Brown do it yet. And
that's what's going to push you over the threshold.
Yeah, that's
not arguably the GOAT Tom Brady or the weapons that they have already on their roster, or perhaps their top-ranked defense. It's going to be Antonio Brown? Okay, got it. Cool.
And they say I'm the one in the relationship that doesn't listen.
Cool.
My point is, my love, I love you a lot. My point is, this guy, Antonio Brown, is something we haven't seen yet. And so I have them at number 3, not knowing what Antonio Brown can do, Shay. Please, look at me. Stay with me.
You've seen him a million times. You saw him for the Patriots last year. You've seen him in what he was doing in training camps when he was at the Raiders. You saw what he did with the Steelers. What are you talking about? You've never seen him.
We saw him for one game. We saw him for one game with the Patriots.
Continue. I'm going to be quiet.
How many games did he play for the Raiders that I missed?
No. I'm saying you saw in training camp. You know what he's capable of.
We're talking about practice, not a game. We're talking about practice. If you don't let me finish this list, I don't really know what I'm going to do. But I just felt like it was the right thing to say.
Finish the Bucs.
The Bucs are number 3, and if Antonio Brown does what I think he can do, I would flirt with putting them at number 1 if Max Kellerman ever allows us to fill in for his show again.
Which I'm sure he won't.
And he'd be right to do that. At number 2, the Kansas City Chiefs. And this was the longest back and forth I had. Shay, I'll give you a second to tell me I'm wrong. I saw what the Steelers are, and they didn't look great, but they were still able to beat the Ravens, and it's because of that Steelers defense. It's opportunistic. They take away the run. Ben Roethlisberger is shown to be the Ben Roethlisberger of old. Chase Claypool
please mute his mic.
Has become a star. It's because of that I said, if the Steelers and the Chiefs met, I don't know if it's fatigue. Maybe it's unfair to the Chiefs because of fatigue. I just feel like the Steelers right now, unblemished, deserve the number 1 spot, and I have the Chiefs at number 2.
That's fair. I like that. I would do the same thing. I like Steelers 1, Chiefs 2. Write it down. I just argued the Bucs at 3 because you're over here talking all kinds of craziness, saying the Bucs are the best team in the NFL. I'm like, hello.
I have to see Antonio Brown.
Okay.
I have to see Antonio Brown.
I still think that should make a break.
What don't you understand about that?
Here's what I'm going to argue with. The fact that you left.
You can do.
Here's what I'm going to argue with. The fact that you left out the Packers and the Bills. Okay? I think if the Packers and
Bills?
Yes, the Bills.
Excuse
me, cuz?
I was going to say son because it's Max's bit on his show.
Only Los Angeles. You need to be careful with that, Jordan.
Yeah, right. I'm all over geographically here now. The Bills?
Yeah, the Bills.
This is not Josh Allen MVP chance from like 3 weeks ago.
I love that drop.
No, not the Bills. No, not going.
Okay, cool. We'll talk.
Who was the other one? You want the Packers?
I want the Packers or the Bills in there.
Your father would be very excited. He's a Wisconsin native.
Don't do that.
He's a big Packers fan. I love your father too.
Jordan,
I can't with that defense. Stop the run. Make a move at the deadline. Show me you want to be here.
You picked the Seahawks. You can't with the defense? What are you talking about? If you saw the Packers go up against the Cardinals right now, who would win?
If I saw the Packers go up against the Cardinals?
Let's say the Cardinals had to go to Green Bay. Let's just say the Cardinals are going to Green Bay. Chilly. I know it's an AFC, NFC.
I'm taking the Cardinals.
I'm sorry.
I'm taking the Cardinals.
You take the Cardinals.
Yeah, don't start doing AFC, NFC. You get confused there, and then you mess it all up.
I don't get confused. I was going to go somewhere else with
Who's a winner?
I'm the winner. I am just
I'm
saying
in front of you two. I'm not answering that question.
I am just saying you left out two really good teams in the Bills and the Packers. And if you don't agree with me, that's fine. Let's talk later.
I agree. There's only 5 slots, though. And you ask a great question. If the Cardinals and Packers played, to me, I think the Cardinals are the better team at this point.
That's fine. Again, the Cardinals losses, the Lions and the Panthers. The Bills losses, the Titans and the Chiefs. Just pointing that out.
The Titans just lose
But I got a question for you guys. With your number one. With the Steelers and the Chiefs, if they both played, I heard Greeny say earlier, like Big Ben was like 26th or something in terms of quarterback efficiency.
Yeah.
Like, you trusting Big Ben over Patrick? Like, I know they're undefeated, but man, if they just play each other, I don't know if I trust Ben like that.
No, but you trust the Steelers defense over the Chiefs defense.
That's the biggest question, and that's why I had to think a long time, Raj, because Ben is showing those moments, but he still makes those head-scratching decisions, and they have struggled and been stagnant at times to move that football. They need to get the run game going more, and I think that will propel Ben Roethlisberger to show a little bit more. The inability for that offensive line to generate strength in that run game has been more problematic to me than the ability of Ben Roethlisberger to show out. I think if they could find more of a pulse there, Ben can do what Ben's going to do. He's a Hall of Famer. I'm always going to put faith in a guy whose body of work has shown it. I think the bigger question mark isn't Ben. It's the ability to get going with the run game there in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I agree with you. I that would be a hard pick if you took the Steelers or the Chiefs. But I just
think those are the two best teams. Do we agree?
Yes, we agree.
Okay.
If you keep Mahomes off the field, I would take Steelers defense over the Chiefs defense if you had to compare one or the other.
Got the
and
best
I know they don't face
in the
each
league,
other, obviously, but yeah. Shea Cornett and Jordan Cornett here filling in for Max Kellerman. The Max Kellerman Show is brought to you by Shell. Pennzoil synthetic motor oils are made from natural gas. It gives
so to ride 50 minutes down south of Connecticut to Fairfield where we reside.
No caveats.
I don't want any issues. I was out of pocket. I asked for forgiveness.
Oh, see, that's good. I accept your apology.
Oh, don't give me those eyes.
I accept. We even played Beaver, your favorite.
Oh, I thought you said something entirely different.
Back to genuine, though. This is the Max Kellerman Show on ESPN Radio, ESPN News, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80, and on your smart speaker. Just tell your smart speaker to play ESPN. Shea Cornett and Jordan Cornett.
She's smiling again, ladies and gentlemen. We're back for the final 30 minutes.
You know this about me. What do I need in life?
You need an apology.
That's
always.
it. That's all I ask for.
As long as I apologize. Well, it depends on what the act is.
Exactly.
Let's be clear. But if I step out of line with my words, as long as it's a sincere apology that's been thought out, you can get back. But at the same time, and
I forget quickly with a good apology.
At the same time, men out there know this. They can be as right with the argument that's going on as possible. But if you get overconfident in how right you are in the back and forth, the delivery can put you right back into the losing column.
Yeah, it never works out good.
Raj, you know what I'm talking about? Like, that's how that goes.
A chuckle means he's been there.
Exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
That's why you guys are going to lash. You know, you take the L. Sometimes you got to take an L.
I like that,
true.
Raj. Thank you.
True.
So Shea Cornett, Jordan Cornett. Filling in for Max Kellerman on the Max Kellerman Show. You got a bone to pick with Jordan from No Doubt on P. Diddy and Matthew McConaughey. We're going to get to that later on. You can reach us at 888-SAY-ESPN, 1-888-729-3776. The Max Kellerman Show is presented by Progressive Insurance, and all guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. So it's now time for a new segment here we like to call We Got Issues, because there's some teams in the NFL that got issues. Right, Raj?
Yeah, you got 3 teams that are 5-3. So
that's
my
good.
question is, that's not bad. You're better. Now, none of them are in first place, but 5-3 could go either way. It's like this week could be a swing week for them, except the Browns, who are on a bye week, of course. But the 3 teams, I want to know who has the biggest issue: the Bears, the Rams, or the Browns. Who has the bigger issues at 5-3, guys?
You apologize. You go first.
Oh, well, then you're going to be mad at me. It's your Chicago Bears have the biggest issues.
Okay.
Because Khalil Mack and Allen Robinson, they're 2 stars on both sides of the ball. Star wideout and Robinson, star defensive everything.
Yeah,
Khalil Mack. I'm not even going to give him a position. He does everything on the field. He gets out to the quarterback. As a pass rusher, is probably the biggest thing there coming off the edge. It has to be the Bears, because these 2 guys, this championship defense is tasked with holding teams as low as possible, knowing that their offense isn't going to provide anything. They don't have a quarterback, and they don't have a solution with the two that are there. They brought in Nick Foles when there's an opportunity in the market to get other guys. It looks like Cam Newton hasn't been one of those, so I'll check off that box. But you traded up in that draft 4 seasons ago to bring in Mitchell Trubisky, who you rode with to the point where at 3-0 is when you decided Mitch Trubisky was no longer your guy. You've totally devoid him of any confidence, although I don't think he has it, even if you bring him back. But now you're in the position of looking and saying, our defense is doing the job. Allen Robinson is good. We can't get a run game going to save our lives. Matt Nagy was supposed to come in here as an offensive mind to really get this thing going, also to cultivate a quarterback. None of that has happened. There is no solution how to put points on the board with an inept run game, a lack of creativity from play calling, and nobody to throw the football. There's no way this thing improves offensively for a Bears team that has the defense in place to win a lot of games. It's sad. I know you got to be upset. I sit there and console you week after week when the same thing happens. The Bears score 10 points, 13 points, 16 points, 20 points. When's the offense going to get coming? Since Nagy's been brought in there, he's been promising offense and has never delivered. Ever.
Okay, so the Bears at the top of your list, and then would it go Browns and Rams or Rams and Browns after that?
Well, let's just stay with who's last. Let's work through this thing. Let's navigate together. Is the last team there the Bears for you?
No.
Oh, okay. Then for me, then I'll go ahead and finish mine through. I'd say, yeah, I'm surprised by that as well. The other two teams were the Browns and the Rams. To me, the Rams have the least amount of issues. You look at the stat line and the numbers, they move the football. Some boneheaded mistakes, some meltdowns on special teams, some questionable quarterback play from Jared Goff.
I agree.
And yet still, they had success moving the football. This is a really good football team. They got Aaron Donald. They got a good defense. They got stars there. They're going to be fine. So it's the Browns to me because Baker Mayfield, the defense has questions, but Nick Chubb's coming back soon.
Okay, so for me, here's how my list goes. I agree with you on the Rams. I think the Rams have the least amount of issues. The loss, like you just saw to the Dolphins, I think has to do with going across country, being on a short week. It was an off week.
You love the travel thing. It's a great point.
It was an off week for them. I think those turnovers are not usually who they are. I don't think Jared Goff is that reckless with the football where he's fumbling and throwing interceptions. So to me, the Rams have the least amount of issues and the team that can get most back on track. I am then going to go at so that's the bottom. The middle is the Bears for the exact reason you pointed out, and I don't need to go into it again, but they've got quarterback issues. Shaky quarterback play is part of their DNA. In Chicago, they haven't had a run game in I don't know how long. Their offensive line is decimated with injuries. I'm to the point where I'm thinking they might call back up Kyle Long. I don't know.
Our guy.
And the quarterback has been inaccurate. The defense is the only hope for putting up points on the board, as we saw a few weeks ago. So there's that. In terms of the most issues, I'm going to say the Browns, and it's probably not for the obvious reason.
It's not Baker.
It's not Baker to me.
Can't stop the run. Browns can't stop the run.
While I think Baker has got some problems throwing the football when they get behind and they can't rely on the run game, that's not the problem. The problem is their division. The AFC North has the Ravens and the Steelers in it ahead of them.
True.
Two teams the Browns have already lost by 30-plus points to, not combined, in each matchup. 30-plus points the Browns took an L to. There's no way you're catching up to either one of those teams this year. And there's no way you're beating either one of those teams this year, if you ask me. So while the Browns have their own set of issues, I think their biggest problem is the division that they play in. Whereas the Bears, yeah, they have to look at the Packers for sure, but that's a team you could maybe catch. You can sneak some wins in there.
It's
the Bears
bad
can
defense.
with a good the Bears can squeak a win in there with a good defense and a bad offense. The Browns, I don't know how you're ever going to catch up to the Steelers.
I like
and
that you mentioned that with the Browns because it's not just all Baker. That's a bad defense, and it's a bad defense, most especially against the run. I don't know if Myles Garrett's 100%. I think the offense will get a jolt with Nick Chubb coming back, which seems to be maybe week 9, week 10, probably week 10. So there's some reinforcements on the way, but I am surprised how underwhelming that defense has been there in Cleveland. I think that has not been talked about enough. The Raiders were dominant with their ground game in that one. And you never got a chance really to get any life with your offense because it wasn't on the field enough.
And Myles Garrett did get hurt in that game. And as you said,
I don't know if he's 100%.
They need this bye week. The Browns do to get healthy in a big way with Nick Chubb and Myles Garrett, two of your biggest stars, and other factors as well. They definitely have the bye week coming at the right time as they just lost to the Raiders, as you mentioned. But I just think this team has got too many things to overcome. It's like constant. And I think we thought when Odell went down, which was a crazy argument to me, all of a sudden Baker Mayfield was going to be better. And I thought, why? That's not what's going to happen.
He ain't gonna be a Brown next season. Book it.
Wait, Baker Mayfield is not
No,
gonna be
OBJ. He ain't gonna be a Brown
I
next,
agree with
next
that.
year. He ain't.
All right, got a feeling after this week we're going to see another quarterback get benched. Will it be Wentz, Cam, Foles? Who you benching?
Wow.
We're going to discuss that.
But I got the tattoo, J-C, and it ain't coming off. But how often does my shirt really come off?
I mean, you're not a tank top wearing kind of guy.
Thankfully,
which
not much.
I'm thankful for, but that tattoo, I love you. Not one of your smartest moments.
Reasonable Doubt, maybe the best album ever made.
Well,
Maybe.
see, what a nice conversation starter there. This is the Max Kellerman Show on ESPN Radio, ESPN News, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80N on your smart speaker. I am clearly not Max Kellerman. My name is Shay Cornett. Jordan Cornett, my husband's here with me too. You can reach us at 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. We've got an issue to settle from No Doubt.
No Doubt is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. Build your winning team today. Go to linkedin.com/sports.
Now, you didn't like earlier how I talked about P. Diddy.
My boy Paul Irvin, my guy, a producer here at ESPN, didn't like it either.
I picked
He's a
P.
billionaire.
Diddy. I picked P. Diddy's career over Matthew McConaughey's because of Danity Kane, one of my favorite bands when I was in college, which is embarrassing for a lot of reasons. But
what was your favorite Danity Kane song, dare I ask?
Why you gonna fix it, fix it? Damaged. Love it. Played it all the time.
Damaged. My ears are damaged.
It's fair.
She can dance, though, and she's got rhythm.
Who's she? It's a band, Jordan. It's a whole group.
No, you're not listening again. I'm saying you can dance. You've got rhythm, but you cannot sing.
That's true. I can't sing. I do sing. I can't sing, though.
You got to let me finish my thought before you jump on me. You're always ready to pounce. Let me finish first.
News from Max Kellerman Nation. Steven just hit us up on the Dr. Pepper Twitter feed, and he said, hey, Jordan Cornett, how you thinking you can win an argument with me, meaning me, Shay, just because y'all on the radio and not at home?
Yeah, I don't win any of the arguments. Clearly, I don't win them on the radio. I think she's body slammed me several times here.
Please.
And been victorious. Again, a compliment. Did let me finish to get to the compliment part. And at home, I don't even try to argue at home. It's not worth it. I mean, you run? Do you not run a house?
I like to think I do, but I know sometimes I don't. You don't let me.
A little push and pull.
A little push and pull. That's what we are. Okay, Here we go. We're going to play a game, Jordan. You got to bench one. And all of these quarterbacks have been struggling. No doubt about that. Only one you can bench. Here we go. Carson Wentz, Cam Newton, and maybe I'll give the teams for you. Philadelphia Eagles, Carson Wentz. Cam Newton with the New England Patriots, Nick Foles with the Chicago Bears, or Daniel Jones, who struggled in their loss to the Buccaneers. He would play for the New York Football Giants. You got to bench one. Who would you bench?
Only one of those has an option. Two of them have options worth considering. Jarrett Stidham in New England. No, I mean, you got Cam Newton. Let him try and work his way through this. There's not a lot around him. So you just got to ride with Cam Newton. As for, what were the other teams you mentioned?
Cam Newton, Nick Foles, Carson Wentz, and Daniel Jones.
Carson Wentz, you're tied to with a lot of money for a few years still. But Jalen Hurts is there. Is Jalen Hurts ready? It's a potential option. One more after the Bears. There's one other one that you mentioned.
Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones. Who's a better option? You've seen good with Daniel Jones. He's making a lot of mistakes in ways that are decision-making, and he doesn't handle pressure. Problematic for certain. But you're still trying to work through if this is going to be your guy. In a lot of ways, I see parallels with Daniel Jones that I do with Mitchell Trubisky out of Chicago. He was your guy until he's no longer your guy. For right now, it's still the experimental window. It's only a second season. They talk about how you evaluate quarterbacks. Give them to that third year. Daniel Jones' problems may not be fixable. How he handles pressure, his questionable decision-making. But he's got a great arm, and he makes some of those plays that keep you coming back. You kept coming back, luckily for me, and now we're married and happy and got this beautiful life. But you had to take the risk with me. Take the risk with Daniel Jones. Nick Foles, got to go. He's got to go. And me and you, working in the Chicago market covering those Bears, talked a lot about Mitch Trubisky. Neither of us thought he had it. He probably doesn't. But they were 3-0 with Mitch Trubisky at quarterback. And some of the issues that they have at times, at least Mitch's legs, at least his ability to run, can get you out of some of those. Foles doesn't even have that. So this offense further stagnated by Nick Foles. Of all these awful situations that these franchises are in at the quarterback position, the most fixable to me, and the reason why you have to bench him, has to be Nick Foles. Because Mitch Trubisky was 3-0 this year when you benched him. at least you have an option to go back. I mean, his confidence is comparable to mine as a prepubescent teen figuring out who I was because of what they've done to him there. But I think you got to give it a shot and go back to him.
Okay, so your answer is you'd bench Nick Foles.
Bench Nick Foles, go back to Mitch Trubisky. Can't believe I'm saying it.
I, like you, when I found this question, looked at all the backups. Jalen Hurts, Jarrett Stidham, Mitch Trubisky, Colt McCoy is the backup for Daniel Jones. And I thought to myself, which of these is probably the best backup? And it would be Jalen Hurts, in my opinion.
But is he
However,
ready?
I don't know that he's
and you're
ready.
tied to a lot of money with Wentz there.
Exactly. I don't know that he's ready. And also, let's point out the Philadelphia Eagles play in the worst division. Wentz can carry you through as far as you need to. And I also think Wentz is much better than he's actually played. So to me, I would agree with you. Nick Foles.
It's been fun, Shay. Let's do it again.
Is the quarterback you need to bench.
I'll see you at home, babe.
I'll see you at home. Max Kellerman, thanks for having